Welcome back to UNX Fast Forward, your daily dose for everything ninja. I'm Ethan Swanson.
And I'm Chris Ganji, and we just released our 4th open qualifier at Traverse Fitness. Sean Bryan and Brian Kretsch put together an awesome course. And so today, we're going to be looking at the top 3 men and the top 3 women who made it to our major event.
Right, and now that means we have all of our athletes set for the first major event this weekend, November 2nd, on UNX Now, where they're going to be battling it out for not only $18,000 at that event, but also points for our season of Ninja. And after the season, we'll find our top 8 men and women making their way to the championship in February.
Yeah, and so this course here at Traverse Fitness was awesome. We had a 3-minute time limit, which was the fastest time limit we've seen. Very fast.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the women moving on to the first major event from Traverse Fitness. And first up, talking about our 4th place woman, taking the 3rd qualifying spot, Brittany Durant. And she looked really smooth through the course, but just once she got to the flywheels, made a couple moves, and then going to that 3rd flywheel, wasn't able to pull it in.
Yeah, and I think she spent a little bit too much time on the 2nd flywheel. She was trying to correct her swing, trying to get right so that she could make the reach. And like we talked about a lot with those flywheels, there's no lip, and so you're just hanging by your fingertips. It's not an easy grab to hold on to, and I think she just burned out a little bit.
And then in 3rd place overall, Jessie Graff, she's already qualified, but 3rd place would have put her in the major again. Would have been her 2nd time making it to the major. But again, on the flywheels, like we talked about, there's no lip, and as she transferred to the 2nd flywheel, looked like she was reaching and then committed a 2 and just couldn't pull it together.
Yeah, I mean, Jessie's such a consistent competitor. She's constantly on the leaderboard, and I'm excited to see what she brings to the major. But like you said, already qualified. But looking at our 2nd place qualifier, Barclay Stockett, extremely impressive athlete. She came out and had an amazing run, just didn't quite make the jump to the mustache. And, you know, for a shorter competitor, it was a very big move. We talked about how the trampoline was not at an angle. The trampoline was flat, and so it didn't quite send you up as high as you needed to. And she didn't get the bounce that she needed.
Right, shot her forward. You can see her doing a front handspring out of it. But that leaves us with our 1st place women's competitor, Olivia, A&W junior competitor, and she got to that obstacle 8 seconds faster than Barclay and got further in the obstacle, but once again just slid down that first loaded rope. It's a tough move. It's a tough obstacle.
Yeah, it's a really tough move. And, you know, we saw a lot of athletes on the men's and women's side both struggle with that obstacle. But, you know, she made it there fast, got that 1st place spot, and it was really her transitioning in between obstacles that put her in that position to take that 1st place spot.
And now let's look at the men who are making their way to the first major event and taking up, once again, 4th place, but our 3rd qualifying spot, Sean Darling Hammond.
Yeah, Sean Darling Hammond's such an incredible athlete. You know, this guy has been doing American Ninja Warrior for a very long time, been competing in NNLs, UNAAs, all these competitions across the country. And, you know, he came out, had a very calculated run, didn't quite get the dismount on the last obstacle that he would have liked, but he put himself in a position to take that qualifying spot.
Right, and then in 3rd place, just a little bit faster than him, Kyle Soderman. What an electrifying athlete. He had an amazing run and got so close on that dismount, got his toes on the landing pad, but good enough to put him in 3rd place. He's already qualified, though, so that's, I mean, 4th place, Sean Darling Hammond gets to qualify for the major event. Kyle got to run with no nerves.
Yeah, run with no nerves, and you know he was almost our first UNX athlete to finish 2 courses, but didn't quite get there. And so looking at our 2nd place spot, he was the 2nd finisher, Darren Perez, international competitor, Guam's Ninja Warrior. He rocks that shirt all the time, very proud of it. And he's had a really good run, and only our 2nd finisher, and a little scary on that last obstacle. He was making his way through, and we looked at it, we thought, you know, when he was making the move to the dismount that he didn't have enough momentum, and he corrected.
Yeah, he fixed it. I mean, he got hands on both rings, didn't have a lot of momentum, and just was able to kick forward enough to build it up for the dismount. Very impressive move. I mean, this guy is amazing. He's competed on 3 different countries' Ninja Warriors, UK Ninja Warrior, American Ninja Warrior, Sasuke Vietnam, so you know he's been in positions like that before where he's had to make a move.
Yeah, and it was an impressive run because we saw a lot of other athletes get to that point and struggle with those rings, and we're looking at each other like, I don't know if he's going to make it.
Yeah.
And he made the correction, got the dismount, and takes that 2nd place spot.
Right, and in 1st place, Donovan Mator, our first course clear, and absolutely amazing run. So many different ways.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, he did not take a rest. He sped through the entire course. running between obstacles, making big moves, and then, he got to that last obstacle with so much time, gave him time to rest, and he made that last obstacle look way better than anybody.
Yeah, it's that rest. I think you get there with the amount of time to give yourself a second to really, okay, let me gather myself, and he made it look effortless. But not only that, he was making moves on obstacles that no one else attempted.
The wing nuts.
The wing nuts.
The wing nuts.
That was absolutely amazing. And honestly, I'm surprised we didn't see other athletes try that. It saved a little bit of time and a little bit of energy, but man, that was amazing. But
it was a huge confident move. He just went for it. He's the only athlete to really go for that. Saved him the time, and it paid off in the end. But I think that's what you get from Donovan when you watch him as a competitor. He goes all out all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it pays off, like we saw, but sometimes, he makes some mistakes, like we saw in Naperville. But, that's what you get from him. He's an exciting, electric athlete.
Right. Really excited to see how that plays out for him at the major when now you have everyone there is like that, and we'll see that next week. But right now I want to look at some of our close calls on athletes that just barely missed the cut, and we got to talk about first Thomas Stillings. And he missed out on qualifying by one spot in just a few seconds to Sean Darlingham. And Thomas held on to that third qualifying spot until the end of the competition when Sean bumped him out.
Yeah, Thomas was one of the earlier runners, which, it definitely speaks to the athlete of, he came in, put in a really fast run. He was able to hold on to that spot until the very, very end, which just says he had such a strong, fast run. But, I would have liked to see him finish and lock it in, but at the same time, it's just he got hung up on the rings, didn't quite get what he needed to.
Right, and similarly we saw from Kevin Bull, who was one spot behind Thomas. He was on such a fast pace. He was on pace to take that third qualifying spot, even if he didn't finish the course, but he just missed his hand on that first ring, and there's no coming back from that, especially at that point of the course.
Yeah, if Kevin had touched that second ring according to the rules, that would have put him in the position to make the qualifying spot because you get that extra point. That counts as an extra obstacle.
Yep. But so then I also want to look at some of our shocking falls, and you got to talk about Kevin Carbone. He's such an amazing athlete, and he's having a great run. He's actually on pace with Donovan's time, but then just missed the dismount on the mustache ropes.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Kevin. I knew he was going to come in here. I knew he was going to be fast, but I would have liked to see him take that extra swing and line up that dismount a little bit better. I think in his mind, he thought he had it. He was going fast. Everything was fast up until that point. In his mind, he didn't want to take that backswing when he strategized the course. But it just didn't work out.
Right. And then we got to talk about, unfortunately, Megan Johnson again not qualifying for the major, but she goes out on balance for the second time.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a learning experience for Megan. It's two competitions in a row that unfortunate exits on balance obstacles. I think we've seen her compete at a high level, extremely good upper body strength, and I think she's going to go back, start working a little bit more on balance, and come back more confident in the next competition.
Yep, and she hasn't been training ninja as long as some of the other athletes out there, so I think, like you're saying, it's just experiences, getting more competitions like this, getting this stuff out of the way, and learning from it,
Every time I fall in balance, which has happened a lot, I always take
Same.
it back. Yeah, exactly. I think it's every ninja athlete. You've fallen on balance, and it's such a motivator. You go back and, you're super motivated to train harder, work on that balance, and then just be a little bit more confident on the next one.
Yeah, not as glamorous to work on balance, but it's essential. You have to.
It's absolutely essential. It's the agility, and you need those skills, to compete at a high level.
Another athlete having a shocking fall, Arnold Hernandez. He's been running his gym, Movement Lab LA, for a while now, and he's such an impressive athlete. He's rock climbs a ton, and he went out on the course.
Yeah, I was really shocked to see Arnold go down there. Like you said, he climbs, so I thought he would have the grip strength to hold on to those, flywheels without the lip on it, but just didn't quite have the right technique.
Right, I think, I talked to him afterwards. He said he has actually really sweaty hands, and so there wasn't any chalk available before that obstacle because you're coming right from the salmon ladder, and then before that it's the spider, and so we didn't want to have chalk before the spider wall, and people would be slipping around everywhere because chalk is loose standing on the spider wall. So, I don't know if that did affect him that much or not much, but certainly having chalk helps.
Yeah, certainly having chalk helps, and it's something where if you train with chalk all the time, you're used to it. You're used to feeling great with your hands, and it's something maybe to think about as a competitor. If you're always training with chalk, and then you get to a competition where there's a spot that you can't have chalk, you're going to be thrown out of
Yeah.
out of whack a little
You
bit.
should take your own advice, you know?
I should definitely. Guilty. I always I load up chalk. My hands are in that bucket. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to think about.
That's tough for sure. And another competitor I want to talk about, Seth Rogers. We were
Seth.
talking about competitors running early, and he, multiple times in the course didn't know where he was going. Before the workfall, had to ask judges where to go. Normally, not an issue. It just eats up time. But the spot where he had to ask for help, really, that ended his run.
Yeah, we talked about how innovative that obstacle was, having the laser shoot across the platform so that as soon as you cross that laser, the log starts to move. And so, Seth, just a critical error to not know that as soon as he landed, the log would start moving and he would have to move forward. He kind of looked back at the judge to clarify where to go. And I think that's just something you learn from. You strategize the course, you visualize it a little bit more. He was the 6th runner, and so he had a little bit of time to think about the course, but not a ton.
Well, it's so difficult, too, because, how many courses do you go to where it has moving parts like that? So even going and competing in other courses, other competitions, you're not going to get experience in something like that. Sean Bryan and Brian Kretsch are just insane and came up with that obstacle. It was just so inventive.
Yeah, extremely inventive, and you're right. There's no competition where you go to and it's like, hey, once I step here, that thing's going. It's such a new thing. So, I expect him to come back and
Oh, yeah.
He'll be good.
Definitely. He is good.
He's very good.
No, and there's so much more we want to cover on Traverse Fitness, and tomorrow we're going to go into Ninja Killers, stats on the obstacles, some big falls, obstacle highlights. So come back tomorrow when we go on UNX Fast Forward and talk about some of that stuff. Until then, I'm Ethan Swanson.
And I'm Chris Ganji, and we'll see you guys next time.